Pulse. Broken phone? We fix that. It couldn't be easier. We'll be there in a heartbeat 7 days a week. Check us out at pulse.com. Pulse, for the ups and downs of digital life. Introducing Pulse. New TV to install? We do that. It couldn't be easier. We'll be there in a heartbeat 7 days a week. Check us out at pulse.com. Pulse, for the ups and downs of digital life.
I'm here to prove that Purple Mattress blows memory foam out of the bedroom.
Ready, Billy?
No, I just have to... Perfect. Just look at how the Purple Smart Comfort Grid, made from a super comfy yet ultra supportive material called hyperelastic polymer, cradled those unfertilized chickies. Purple's unique design cradles your pressure points and redistributes support to the rest of your body for maximum comfort and support. Go to purplemattress.com and get the best rest of your life.
Hope, the most powerful man in history.
A court hearing is now set for July in porn star Stormy Daniels' lawsuit against President Trump. She's trying to dissolve the deal that bought her silence about an alleged affair she claims they had more than a decade ago. Let's go to our national correspondent, Sarah Seidner, who is working the story for us. Sarah, there are several new developments tonight. Update our viewers.
Yeah, new tonight, there is a hearing that is set for July 12th here in Los Angeles. We will be there to find out the details of what that will mean. There is also a crowdfunding site that Stormy Daniels has now put out there. An attorney has tweeted, Michael Avenatti tweeting today, this site here that has now crossed $43,000 in just the one day that it's been up, quite a bit of money. The Crowd Justice site, basically she explains here why she needs the money. She says it's to help her in her legal battle against President Trump, and she says specifically that she's attempting to speak honestly and openly to the American people about the relationship with now President Donald Trump and the intimidation and tactics used against her. That is what she is saying in this crowdfunding site, and we know that those allegations have been put forth in that lawsuit that was filed last week. We can also tell you a little bit about what a friend of hers has confirmed to us. They have been friends for years. He says Stormy is a wonderful person, that she's very smart and very funny. He says he was also there when Donald Trump would call her. Stormy was staying at his house for a bit. The two of them, she said, would listen into phone calls because Stormy would put Donald Trump on speakerphone back between 2006 and 2007 when the affair was allegedly still going on. And he says, look, they often talked very businesslike. It was all about Stormy, her career, and what was happening with it, that Donald Trump would talk for hours, he confirmed to us, and that he promised her some things like potentially going on The Apprentice, also saying, look, you know, I'll give you a condo in New York. Why don't you go into my new building in Tampa? Those things Stormy Daniels' friend says she refused to do. He also said he was there when Donald Trump sent a limo to Stormy Daniels' home to pick her up to go to the Miss USA pageant that was in Hollywood in 2007. He said that he did finally realize many years later, we're talking about 10 years ago, that eventually he was on that NDA. His name is one of 4 listed as people having some knowledge of the relationship between Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels.
Yeah, new developments unfolding. All right, Sarah, thanks very much. Rebecca Berg, where is this going from here?
Well, clearly there's the legal battle ahead this summer, which pretty much ensures, Wolf, that this is going to stay in the news for weeks and months to come. Not exactly the outcome you want if you are President Trump, if you are working in this White House. Clearly, this is a story that is damaging for them, and they want it to go away. But Stormy Daniels is showing that she has a command of the media, much like Donald Trump. She can command attention. She knows how to play the fiddle of the media just like he does. And so she is, in a sense, a worthy adversary for the president in this case.
The nightmare scenario for the president, Ryan, as you know, is that he will be called to testify, whether a deposition or whatever in this case.
If the case goes forward. And I agree with Rebecca. She is doing some of the things that Trump did in business many times. One, she's trying this case in the press. And I don't think if she didn't have the press attention, I don't think her case would be very strong. I mean, the way I look at it, she accepted $130,000, entered into a contract, and is now trying to get out of it. Frankly, not all that different than the way Trump would try and get out of contracts when he was in business, often using the press to his advantage. But I don't know if, maybe this is a minority view on this, but I sort of see Trump here as more of the victim in this. They did enter into an agreement. She did take the cash, and now she is just, using the press to sort of, argue that that contract is somehow, null and void.
Although the White House would have us believe that President Trump knows nothing about this, knew nothing about it, was not a party to this.
They're clearly lying about that.
How do you see it? How do you see it?
I want a Stormy question every night. Let me make this easy. This is not about the law, and it's not about the truth. This is about cash. She's sitting there, I would wager, and I would do the same thing if I were in her shoes, which I would guess is unlikely. Look, the issue is she's sitting, I suspect, saying this might cost me some money if I violate the hush agreement. By contrast, if you look at her Instagram account and how many appointments she's got, and her schedule is stacked. And if you look at what she said publicly about how much money she's making per appearance, 3 or 4 times what she used to make, I think she's saying the longer I keep this going, I don't care how much the court charges me. I don't care if I got to pay $130K. I'm going to make a lot of money going out with the schedule I got.
Yeah, and I just say, Wolf, we understand that the president can't let these kinds of things just kind of happen in the background. He has to get in the fight. And just from my perspective, as a guy who kind of focuses on national security, the president will focus on this, and it will distract him from the business of governing. And while I think that we can all kind of look at this, and there's some laughs to be had, and I understand why we have to look at this from a legal perspective, the president is not able to do his job of leading the country when he's focused on this.
Yeah, there are serious national security potential ramifications if he's preoccupied with stuff like this. All right, guys, stick around. We're getting ready for a CNN exclusive. CNN is there as U.S. and allied nuclear submarines patrol the Arctic in the face of Russia's quest for dominance. Our own Jim Sciutto, he's on the scene as America's most sophisticated underwater weapon gets ready for use.
You know this road. You've traveled it in your dreams. Artists and adventurers have always traveled here, found their muse in these red canyons. You were made to travel this road. It belongs to you. This is your birthright. For this is the road to mighty. The road begins at visitutah.com.
Dogs have evolved, but their nutritional needs remain instinctual. That's why there's Purina One True Instinct, real meat #1, a different breed of natural nutrition. Purina One True Instinct. Now try new Purina One True Instinct treats.
Unless you're on a boat, it's hard to get excited about fish. Until you hear that Arby's has a new Nashville hot fish sandwich that you can pair with, another fish sandwich that isn't spicy. And getting 2 will only cost you $5? Now, if that doesn't get you excited about fish, then buy a boat already. Arby's, we have the meats.
So I've got an interview and a date tomorrow. Double duty calls for a designer suit. Ready for the corner office. And the dance floor.
Now at Men's Warehouse, take 60% off select designer suits, plus it's buy one, get one free on select item.
You're gonna like the way you look in a designer suit.
Almost there.
She's coming.
My video call's lagging. Mom.
Hold up. We got a laggy video call here. You need Verizon, the best network for streaming. Try this new Samsung Galaxy S9 on Verizon Unlimited. The camera's a real game changer.
Okay, people, that's a reset.
Want us to surprise her again? Yeah, but like in a fun way. Like this.
Oh, my favorite friends are here. There's Tony and Diane.
Like that.
Switch to the best unlimited on the most awarded network and get up to $500 off the Samsung Galaxy S9.
Psst. What?
I switched to Geico and got more.
More savings on car insurance?
Uh-huh. And an award-winning mobile app.
Well, it is more.
Oh, there's more. Mobile ID cards, emergency roadside service.
More technology.
I can even add a new driver.
Right from her phone! Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
A Hilton getaway means you get more because you get a break on breakfast. Get an extra day by the pool. Get to spend more time together. Get more from your spring break getaway with exclusive Hilton offers. Book yours only at Hilton.com.
At Safelite Auto Glass, we know that when you're spending time with the grandkids, every minute counts. And you don't have time for a cracked windshield. That's why at Safelite, we'll show you exactly when we'll be there with a replacement you can trust. Well done, sir.
Looks great.
Thanks for choosing Safelite.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Saving you time so you can keep saving the world.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
Next, a White House in chaos as Trump's frustration grows.
We're getting very close to having the cabinet and other things that I want.
But are more changes coming, and who will be next to go? Erin Burnett out front, live next.
I'm sleeping better than I have in years.
This mattress changed our lives.
For the better.
My husband doesn't want to leave the bed.
True happiness starts when you sleep like a baby. So we created the Nectar Memory Foam mattress with better support and soft, breathable layers for the best sleep of your life at a price that's hundreds less than showroom mattresses.
The quality feels amazing. And I saved hundreds of dollars over those other showroom mattresses.
Hundreds.
Enjoy sleeping on a Nectar mattress for 365 nights. If you're not 100% happy, we'll come back to pick it up and return every dollar.
This mattress seems like it's gonna last forever.
And you have our forever warranty. If there's ever a problem, we'll fix or replace it forever for free.
1 year later, we're still very happy customers.
For our best deal, $125 off plus 2 free Nectar pillows, go to NectarSleep.com. Nectar, love it for life.
I woke up and it was like my soul was happier.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Now a CNN exclusive, the growing battle for dominance in one of the world's final frontiers, the Arctic. Our chief national security correspondent, Jim Sciutto, is back from a truly remarkable assignment. Jim, you were on board a nuclear submarine training to take on adversaries like Russia.
That's right. This is certainly a message to Russia. It's a message to China. It's a message to the world that the U.S. Navy can operate and demonstrate military power all over the world, even in the harshest environments, arguably the harshest in the Arctic, particularly the attention growing there as the ice melts. There are economic opportunities and opportunities to demonstrate military power.
Attack center to put on weapon ready to put it to 1 power up time now.
Weapons 3, 2, 1, aye, sir.
Stand by, 2-1.
Ice pick submarine. Bearing 182, 900 yards.
The USS Hartford, Los Angeles-class nuclear attack submarine readies to fire.
Fire, 2-1. Shoot, 2-1.
In an instant, a 2-ton, 20-foot-long torpedo speeds towards an enemy submarine.
All long ships engaging the target.
Target acquired and destroyed.
All hands stand fast while hovering operations are in progress.
The Hartford is training for its primary mission, hunting and killing enemy ships and submarines.
180 feet, 0 angle.
But these exercises, which CNN was given exclusive access to, are taking place in the harshest sea environment in the world.
Counting on some minutes, I'll stop.
Under the Arctic ice.
Chief of the watch on the 1MC. Vertical surface, vertical surface, vertical surface.
Ship is commenced vertical surfacing. As a reminder, all hands stand fast.
It's an arena where even surfacing requires enormous power and skill.
5-degree up angle, 0.23 upper velocity and increasing.
We were on board as the submarine stalks to the surface with the full force of its 6,000 tons.
Impact!
1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000.
We've just broken through 2 feet of Arctic ice. The North Pole is this way, Russia is this way, and Alaska this way. And a mission like this is all about sending a message that the U.S. Navy can operate or wage war, if necessary, in the harshest environment in the world. The Arctic is the newest and most daunting front in the expanding global competition between the U.S. and Russia. These 5.5 million square miles are under an intense battle for dominance as the ice shrinks and opens new oil exploration, new shipping lanes, and crucially, new paths to wage war.
We are well aware that we are in a great power competition environment, and the Arctic is one piece of that.
Great power competition, talking principally about Russia, but also China?
Russia and China are two of our great powers that are trying to catch up with us as fast as they can.
This year, these exercises, called ICE-X, are taking on new urgency. A British submarine joined for the first time in a decade, and U.S. submarine forces are refocusing on a mission dating to the Cold War.
What is our primary mission, the submarine forces, to be able to leverage our offensive weaponry like a torpedo against a threat. So there's been a shift in emphasis in our ability to do that.
Operating under the Arctic presents unique challenges, with no access to GPS navigation, limited communications, and dangers from below and above.
Ice keel depth times 0.755 feet.
Ice keels as long as 150 feet extend down from the ice sheet.
Stationary dive the ship to 180 feet.
America's biggest challenge, however, comes from Russia. The Russian military has assembled an arc of steel along its Arctic coast, comprising dozens of military bases, ports, and airfields. And it is building and deploying faster, quieter, and more capable subs of its own.
In every case, they're trying to get faster and better at what they do and integrating technology into their platforms. And it's really set them on a ramp to where if we don't continue to do the same, we'll find ourselves in a place of falling behind.
For now, Navy commanders say the U.S. maintains a technological advantage.
Ramming, number one, rammer. Clear forward. Yeah. Ramming.
Subs like the Hartford are virtually invisible and silent to enemies, allowing them to strike without warning against targets below and above the surface. These are two of the 4 torpedo tubes, but you can launch a lot more from a sub than torpedoes. You have 12 vertical launch tubes. They can launch cruise missiles. From those torpedo tubes, you can also launch unmanned underwater vehicles, drones, becoming more of a focus in this Navy. And some submarines like this equipped to send out SEAL team delivery vehicles as well. These subs designed to project power in many, many ways. However, Russian and increasingly Chinese submarines are getting better at doing the same. Is the Navy becoming more reliant on subs as a platform?
We do expect that submarines are going to be able to get to places and to conduct action where other units may not be able to. Right off the bat, we're going to need the submarine force to kick the door in and other forces to flow behind.
That is the firm message to audiences in Moscow and beyond. The motto of the submarine forces is on scene, unseen, the idea being they can get anywhere in the world unseen by others, virtually invisible. And right now, the U.S. Navy considers submarines more and more of a priority. In fact, they're asking for 15 more. They want to increase the size of the sub forces by 15 by about the middle of the century, and that's no cheap thing. It's $3 billion or so for an attack submarine like the Virginia classes. So they're talking about a lot of money, and it's happening at a time when there's a lot of very real and daunting competition from countries like Russia and China.
It's really amazing. How cold was it when you walked out there?
It was, with the wind chill, when we got out of the sub, it was minus 42 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'll tell you, there's a reason why it could have been anyone behind that mast there, because if you exposed any skin to that, it froze like that.
In a minute, and it's very tight quarters on a submarine.
It's very tight quarters. And one thing I'll note, because submariners, this is tough duty. There are fewer bunks on board than there are crew. So the bunks are tiny, and sometimes they got to share those bunks, rotate, depending on shifts. It's tough duty.
I give those submariners a lot of credit. They spend months below the water. They get a few days up. It's a really amazing work.
Absolutely.
Great work. Thanks very much for doing that. That's it for me. Thanks very much for watching. Erin Burnett Out Front starts right now.
Out front next, ditching the dead weight. President Trump growing increasingly frustrated with his cabinet, the cabinet falling short of his expectations. And breaking news, a former top FBI official who was the target of Trump's repeated attacks could soon be fired by Jeff Sessions. And Russian spy games. 23 Russian diplomats ejected by America's closest ally after the poisoning of a former spy. Is this a return to the days of the Cold War? Let's go out front. And good evening, I'm Erin Burnett. Out front tonight, the breaking news, the president's purge. President Trump said to be on the verge of firing everyone left that he considers a dead weight. And the growing list of officials on thin ice is a team we were supposed to believe this about.
We have by far the highest IQ of any cabinet. We have a cabinet that there are those that are saying it's one of the finest group of people ever assembled as a candidate, as a cabinet, and I happen to agree with that.
The finest group of people ever assembled for a cabinet with the highest IQs. And it turns out, a group that includes some people the president may now be about to evict, like Ben Carson, the Housing and Urban Development Secretary. CNN has uncovered damning new emails showing Carson and his wife personally selected the $31,000 dining set, despite the fact that Carson had denied it. In one email, a career official writes, quote, "I believe Allison has printouts of the furniture the secretary and Mrs. Carson picked out. I think this is a very reasonable price and the funds are available." Well, here's the very reasonable breakdown. The Carson approved in email, people. $25,000, and yet it came out even above that at the 31. Also on the president's possible purge list tonight, Secretary David Shulkin. The Department of Veterans Affairs Inspector General says Shulkin used taxpayer money for his wife to travel on a 10-day trip with him to Europe, and that his chief of staff lied about it. And then there's Betsy DeVos, the lightning rod education secretary, causing alarm at the White House for her interview on 60 Minutes.
Have you seen the really bad schools? Maybe try to figure out what they're doing?
I have not intentionally visited schools that are underperforming.
Maybe you should.
Maybe I should, yes.
Well, DeVos, for now, for one, appears to be safe. But also on the president's list to possibly oust H.R. McMaster, his national security advisor, and his chief of staff, John Kelly. And don't forget who's already out the door. Rex Tillerson, the Secretary of State, fired by presidential tweet. Tom Price, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, ousted for racking up what's estimated to be hundreds of thousands of dollars in private flights. Never mind Steve Bannon, Michael Flynn, Reince Priebus, and obviously this list is not even close to exhaustive. The bottom line is that this is a White House with at least a 43% turnover rate, according to one study. And frankly, that 43% is before some of the recent oustings. And now, the president appears to want us to forget his bragging that this team had the highest IQs and was the finest group ever assembled by a president. Instead, he says he's getting close to the team he actually wants, and that people are falling all over themselves to fill the vacancies.
We're getting very close to having the cabinet and other things that I want.
I have a choice of anybody. I could take any position in the White House, and I'll have a choice of the 10 top people having to do with that position. Everybody wants to be there.
Everybody wants to be there. 10 top people for every job. In that case, why is the president today replacing Gary Cohn, his National Economic Council director, who quit in opposition to Trump's tariffs, with Larry Kudlow, a conservative economist and TV host who vocally opposed Trump's tariffs?
Tariff hikes are prosperity killers. They always have been, and they always will be. Tariffs are taxes, and the ones who suffer most are the users.
Okay, point made. The president's mercurial urges to purge the people closest to him, often without any warning, is upping the ante in a White House where staffers thought they knew what chaos was. And officials inside the White House tell CNN now they are on edge tonight. Caitlin Collins begins our coverage out front in St. Louis, where the president is tonight. Caitlin, you're talking to people inside the White House. What are they telling you?
Yeah, that's right, Aaron. They're describing this atmosphere of unease, essentially, in the West Wing. And staffers are on edge because there has been a string of departures and firings lately coming out of the White House. And they feel like they're in the dark because they can't see who's next, who's going to be the next one fired, and who's going to be the next one walked out of the White House. Because some of these departures they've seen coming for a long time now, like the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, that was widely reported that it was coming. But then there are some that catch a lot of people in the West Wing by surprise, like the president's personal aide, Johnny McEntee, who was marched off the White House grounds on Monday. But a lot of this unease is coming from the president himself here, Aaron, because as you just heard him there on the South Lawn, he's the one saying he's not fully happy with his cabinet, and he may be making some changes in the near future to get it just the way he wants it. Now, the two in the most immediate future, of course, seem to be the Veterans Affairs Secretary David Shulkin, because the president has been essentially developing an exit plan for him and figuring out who he could replace him with so he can get him out of the Veterans Affairs Agency. And the other seems to be his National Security Advisor, H.R. McMaster, someone the president has been fed up with for a while. So those two seem to be the next ones on the chopping block. Now, one cabinet official the president does not seem to be annoyed with and doesn't seem to be the The subject of a series of embarrassing stories is the Treasury Secretary, Steven Mnuchin, who the president spent the day with here behind me at this Boeing facility. They actually just took off from St. Louis. But Aaron, to be clear, they are going back to a very chaotic West Wing awaiting the president in Washington tonight.
All right. Thank you very much, Caitlin. And of course, the Treasury Secretary had been under fire, right, when his wife got off a private plane that they paid for with taxpayer dollars on the day of the eclipse and tweeted about all of her designer brand sunglasses and shoes and everything else she was wearing. But that's the distant past. Now he's okay. Others are in the spotlight. Eliana Johnson joins me, national political reporter for Politico, Mark Preston, senior political analyst, and Jackie Kucinich, Washington bureau chief for the Daily Beast. Mark, okay, it's hard to even keep track of all of this, but you can imagine only sitting there what it's like. I mean, this was the highest IQs and the best team ever assembled, except for apparently it wasn't the team that he says that he wanted, and now he's trying to get there. And now, I mean, you got to be on edge if you work there.
You got to be on edge if you work there. And if you ever thought about perhaps leaving the private sector to go and work in the White House, you got to be saying to yourself, no way. And the reason being is that if you are wealthy and you have done well in your life, for you to go into the administration, you're going to have to divest everything. You're going to have to take your money. You're going to have to move it out of your control. You're going to have to put it into a blind trust. And when you do that,
even though the president's family, I'm sorry to just insert this,
doesn't have to do that. Everybody else has to do it. That is very arduous, and that is very difficult. So I'm sure some people are looking at what happened to Rex Tillerson, looking at what happened to Tom Price, look at what's happening now with H.R. McMaster, look what's happening now with John Kelly, and saying, wait a second, you know what? Any thought of going in is done. And let me just add one thing, Aaron. Remember the generals? I love my generals. Looks like he's going to get rid of all his generals.
I mean, there's nobody who appears to be safe. I mean, Jackie, it is pretty stunning when you think about it.
It absolutely is. And not only like that they're fired, it's how they were fired. I mean, what happened to Rex Tillerson was humiliating. He was fired via tweet. So again, to Mark's point, if you're divesting all of your worldly goods, just to be humiliated by the President of the United States, it's not a good look. The other thing, not only are people from the White House looking, or outside the White House looking in, the world is looking at this, right? I mean, this is a time of tumult in the world. This high-profile North Korea meeting that could happen right now is happening without a Secretary of State. And there's no guarantee that Pompeo, his nominee, will sail through the Senate because Democrats, I'm sure, are going to try to make a point here. So it really, the timing of this isn't great. And if you're other world leaders looking into the United States, you're probably just as nervous as people in the White House looking out.
I mean, Eliana, the president, you know, with there's 10 top people waiting for every job. What are you hearing about whether people really want to work for the White House? I mean, I think it's safe to say you don't have 10 top people for every job. But I mean, just on the point of it, I mean, are great people just dying to work there?
You know, Aaron, I think there's increasing trepidation among senior Republicans and really Republicans at all levels about joining this White House because the loyalty that's been given to the president really hasn't been returned. And I think Jeff Sessions is really case in point of that. He was the first Republican senator to back the president, and he's been ritually humiliated over and over again. But look, just to step back for a second, I think what's happening here is that the president's been in office a year. He's gaining confidence, and he's beginning to really listen to himself and trust his instincts. And I don't think anybody thinks it's bad that he replaced a Secretary of State he didn't get along with one that he is getting along with better. But the worries that you hear from White House aides are that the president's moods and his opinions and views about his cabinet secretaries and the other people close to him change so quickly, and for reasons as flimsy as the media coverage that they're receiving, which can change very quickly, that they worry that he'll be, if he's in touch with his instincts and acting on his instincts, shuffling out cabinet aides on a routine basis.
Yeah, I mean, and Mark, you know, this is a man who clearly thrives on creating insecurity in others. It's how he's operated in business. It's how he talks to one person when another isn't in the room. This is the way he is. This is something that people who have covered him and followed him have known for a long time. I mean, I've seen it myself.
And it's accepted. And you know, I actually sat down with Sam Nunberg today for an extended interview to talk about the interview that you had with him. One of the things that came out of the interview was that he acknowledged that Donald Trump didn't treat him well. Yeah. But he said, you know what, I wasn't a good enough employee. And I said, wait a second. Now, during the interview, wait a second, Sam, you are now saying you're putting the blame upon yourself. Basically, what I learned from just talking to him and from others now is that there's an amazing amount of guilt that Trump puts upon you. Even if you're right, you are wrong. And that's a bad way to go through life.
Well, someone would say, I'm not a psychologist, but I think you go in the emotional abuse sort of down the angle here, possibly. Jackie, the president has said he likes differing views. Okay, Larry Kudlow, I was mentioning him obviously coming in and taking Gary Cohn's job, even though Gary Cohn and Larry Kudlow completely agree on something on the opposite side of the president. Here's what the president said about Kudlow on Tuesday.
I'm looking at Larry Kudlow very strongly. I've known him a long time. We don't have a divergent opinion. We agree on most.
And then here's what the president said about Tillerson, who obviously had differing points of view.
I actually got along well with Rex, but really it was a different mindset. It was a different thinking.
And then Gary Cohn, when Gary Cohn announced he was going, here's what the president said about Cohn, who also had different points of view.
I have a feeling you'll be back. I don't know if I can put him in the same position, though. He's not quite as strong on those tariffs as we want, but that's all right.
All right, so Jackie says he wants people with differing points of view, but then when they have differing points of view, they seem to end up in one place, and that is out.
Well, I think he wants it until he doesn't. The other thing about Larry Kudlow is he's very deferential to the president. He likes praising the president. No, he doesn't agree with him on tariffs, but at the end of the day, he'll say, well, Mr. President, it's your decision. So I think if these people will yield to the president, then they're in good graces again. But Rex Tillerson had a whole host of issues with the president, not only on Russia, but on the Iran deal, on the Paris Accord. I mean, there were a whole bunch of things. So, it sounded like things got a little heated there on many occasions. So the president doesn't like someone else trying to strong-arm him. I think that's the bottom line.
Eliana, does the churn stop at any point?
Aaron, let me just say quickly about the competing viewpoints. I think it's a really complicated cauldron of components with the president, because I would point out that Jim Mattis, the Secretary of Defense, really shared all of Rex Tillerson's views, but you've not heard the president say a negative word about Mattis. And so I think it's a bit more complicated than the president simply wanting people who agree with him around him. But whether the churn stops, I think that comes down to whether the president's advisors can prevail upon him to let him know that stability is necessary for governing, and thus far they haven't seemed to have succeeded.
All right, thank you all very much. And next, Jeff Sessions. You heard his name in a tight spot tonight. Is he about to fire Deputy FBI Director? A man Trump has attacked repeatedly days before his pension kicks in. This is a crucial night for Jeff Sessions and his future for Trump. Plus, the White House finally slamming Russia for its suspected poisoning of a double agent in the UK. What took so long? And Republicans suffering a stunning upset in the Pennsylvania special election. How the White House and Republicans are spinning the loss tonight.
How to get this yard?
Behind Pete's great-looking yard is his secret weapon, the Scott's Turf Builder program. It's the best way to get the yard you want all year long, guaranteed. All it takes is 4 feedings with a Scott's solution for every season. And with a customized plan from the Scott's My Lawn app, your yard can look like Pete's.
It's that easy.
This is a Scott's yard. Download the Scott's My Lawn app for your personalized plan.
Ways to lose stubborn belly fat. The roasted core wrap. 3, 2, 1. Not cool. Freezing away fat cells with Cool Sculpting. Now that's cool. Cool Sculpting safely freezes and removes fat cells with little or no downtime and no surgery. Results and patient experience may vary. Some rare side effects include temporary numbness, discomfort, and swelling. Ask your doctor if Cool Sculpting is right for you and visit CoolSculpting.com today for your chance to win a free treatment.
Applebee's to go. Order online and get $10 off $30. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.
For all the eyes that get itchy and watery near pollen, there's Flonase Sensimist. It relieves all your worst symptoms, including nasal congestion, which most pills don't, and all from a gentle mist you can barely feel. Flonase Sensimist.
Sup world, it's The Box with 30% savings for safe drivers. Coming at you with my brand new vlog. Just making some ice in my freezer here, so check back for that follow-up bid. This is my cashew guy, Bruno. Holler at him, Brune. Kicking it live and direct here at the Fountain. Should I go habanero or Maui onion? Should I buy a chinchilla? Comment below. Did I mention I save people $620 for switching? Chinchilla updates? Got that chinchilla after all. Say what up, Rocco?
Gas, bloating, constipation, and diarrhea can start in the colon and may be signs of an imbalance of good bacteria. Only Philips Colon Health has this unique combination of probiotics. It helps replenish good bacteria. Get 4-in-1 symptom defense.
Maria's always on the go, taking over 7,000 steps each day, and she does it in any shoes she wants, with lasting comfort. Only Dr. Scholl's stylish step has insoles that are clinically proven to provide all-day comfort. Dr. Scholl's, born to move.
Let's begin. Yes or no? Do you want the same tools and seamless experience across web and tablet? Do you want $4.95 commissions for stocks, 50-cent options contracts, $1.50 futures contracts? What about a dedicated service team of trading specialists? Did you say yes? Good. Then it's time for Power E-Trade, the platform, price, and service that gives you the edge you need. Looks like we have a couple of seconds left. Let's do some card twirling. Twirling cards. E-Trade, the original place to invest online.
Hey. Pass, please.
I'm here to fix the elevator.
Nothing's wrong with the elevator.
Right.
But you want to fix it.
Right.
So who sent you?
New guy.
What new guy?
Watson.
My analysis of sensor and maintenance data indicates elevator 3 will malfunction in 2 days.
There you go.
You still need a pass.
Breaking news, CNN is learning the FBI's Office of Professional Responsibility has recommended Attorney General Jeff Sessions fire the former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. President Trump has been calling for McCabe's firing due to his role in the Clinton email investigation, putting intense pressure on Sessions to do just that. And if Sessions acts in the next 3 days before McCabe officially retires, McCabe could lose his pension after 20-plus years at the Bureau. It's gone. Pamela Brown begins our coverage out front. So, Pamela, what else do you know about this recommendation to fire Deputy Director McCabe?
Well, Aaron, we've learned the recommendation stems from a DOJ internal watchdog report that hasn't been made public yet that alleges McCabe authorized the disclosure of sensitive information to a Wall Street Journal reporter having to do with the Clinton Foundation investigation just before the election, and that he also misled investigators about it. Now, the article in question here essentially called McCabe's objectivity into question as the lead official overseeing the Clinton probe, and the information he authorized was seen as an attempt to help his image depicted in the media at the time after it was revealed his wife accepted $500,000 from Clinton family ally Terry McAuliffe's PAC when she was running for state senate in 2015. Now, we should note here, Aaron, that McCabe was one of the few agents in the FBI who could authorize giving information to reporters, but now his attempt to push back on it on this article has him caught up in this IG investigation with his pension now hanging in the balance, Aaron.
I mean, obviously, it's a crucial moment. It's a crucial decision for for Attorney General Sessions. I mean, look, Trump has been public about his anger at Sessions for not firing McCabe. Incredibly public, Pam. What will Sessions do?
That is the big question. You know, you're right. He's been a target of the president for several months. And in a sense, he's been the face of Trump's ire against the FBI, really a political punching bag for the president. And in turn, the president has directed his anger at the IG, or at the AG, we should say, for not firing McCabe. Here's what he tweeted, as you'll recall this. He said, "Why didn't AG Sessions replace acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe, a Comey friend who was in charge of Clinton investigation, but got big dollars for his wife's political run from Hillary Clinton and her representatives? Drain the swamp." FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe is racing the clock to retire with full benefits, 90 days to go. So, Aaron, he's supposed to retire on March 18th, but now his fate of whether he'll be fired before then is really in the hands of the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions. A lot of pressure there, of course, as you're seeing publicly from the president. But we should know McCabe will have a chance to respond to the AG and make his case for why he shouldn't be fired, Aaron.
All right, thank you very much, Pamela. So now let's go to retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent James Galliano, who worked with McCabe, knows him, and former Assistant Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security, Juliette Kayyem. All right, James, you're next to me. You worked with McCabe. Should he be fired?
Well, I mean, you have to look at it from the perspective of the way the IG has looked at this. Lack of candor for an FBI agent, Aaron, whether they've been on the job for 2 days
or are 3 days in front of their retirement. That is a fireable offense. It is an apex violation, and there's a reason for that. In 1972, the Supreme Court had a case called Giglio versus the United States, which required that the prosecution must disclose any negative details about a potential witness. FBI agents testify. Generally speaking, federal cases have a 94%, 95% conviction rate because there's a reason. When an FBI agent raises their hand and says, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
People believe them.
Juries believe it. So if it is true, and this will come out, we're hearing that within this next week, if this is true that Andy McCabe was less than forthright, exhibited lack of candor, in other words, lied during this administrative process because it's not a criminal process yet,
right,
that is a fireable offense.
Right, that's what they're saying in this, you know, from their internal conclusion. I mean, Juliette, you heard the reporting, right? You're getting this from the Office of Professional Responsibility. They've taken the Inspector General report. They have concluded that McCabe should be fired. Do you think firing is fair?
Well, it's hard to tell without knowing the basis. I will say with 3 days to go, it does seem a little mean, petty, and unnecessary. And the reason why it's unnecessary is because there is no question in my mind, if he is fired, McCabe is going to fire back. And there will be litigation regarding whether he got due process, regarding the findings against him. And in that litigation, guess what, evidence number one is going to be? The tweets of President Trump going after McCabe personally to get him fired. In other words, McCabe will say the fix is in. I tend to believe that this has less to do with McCabe and has everything to do with Sessions. To me, this has to do with Trump trying to get rid of Sessions without firing him directly related to the Mueller investigation. He's essentially saying to Sessions, you either fire McCabe or you're not listening to me. And that seems to me yet another sort of salvo that Trump is making against Sessions. So I think this has more to do with Sessions than McCabe at this stage.
Which, and it's obviously is a crucial moment, right? Because now the president who said fire him, and Sessions hasn't done it, now he can say, look at this report. So if you really don't do it, then you're against me. I mean, you do know McCabe well. You worked with him. Were you surprised at the conclusions here on this lack of candor, as the phrasing is?
My experiences with Andy McCabe, he was a virtuous and honorable FBI agent. He spent most of his career down at FBI headquarters. I didn't serve with him down there. What people have to understand also is it doesn't matter that this is 2 or 3 days away from his effective retirement. If you leave the FBI under investigation, if the investigation concludes, Aaron, 9 months from now, they can retroactively go after your pension.
So you lose what you've got and they claw it back.
Absolutely. And I understand the overarching political issue here, but the IG is not a bipartisan. It's a non-partisan entity. They are going to conclude their investigation when it's done, if it's 3 days before his retirement or 9 months from now.
So, Juliette, the president, as you point out, slams and humiliates Sessions. The point that you made, Juliette, publicly and regularly. Here he is.
Sessions should have never recused himself. And if he was going to recuse himself, he should have told me before he took the job, and I would have picked somebody else.
Very disappointed with the Attorney General, but we will see what happens. Time will tell. Time will tell.
And of course, Juliette, you saw the tweets Pam shared, right? One of which included McCabe is racing the clock to retire with full benefits. Do you think Juliette Sessions will cave and fire McCabe?
I'm just guessing here, but my expectation would be that Sessions probably will, which then will bring about more litigation, and all of this unfolds again. And I just want to be clear here, when we talk about Sessions and the lead-up story that you did at the opening of the hour. So we're now talking about McMaster, Tillerson, and Sessions as sort of the three people with the bullseye right now. And we tend to think of it, oh, Trump didn't get along with them. But if you take a step back, why didn't Trump get along with these people? And it's because those three people, whether it's Tillerson and what he said about the Russian getting killed in the UK, whether it's Sessions recusing himself, or whether it's McMaster, who's been quite public about his concerns about Russia, they all are sort of inconsistent with the president on the same issue, which is Russia. And this is something to note. I don't think this is random chaos. I think this is actually targeted getting rid of the guys who object with him on the issue that he is most worried about.
Very interesting point. And as you point out, there is a consistency across those cases. Thank you both very much. And next, tensions escalating tonight. 23 Russian diplomats expelled over the poisoning of a double agent. So what's Putin going to do? Because there's a promise now. And the Republican spin after Their candidate lost that special election last night. What or who is really to blame?
I've learned from war survivors how to rebuild. I've asked world leaders about the moments that really matter. I've discovered the passion created by faith. And now I'm on a new, unexpected journey to understand the rules of engagement in our most intimate relationships.
Let's talk about sex.
A CNN original series, Christiane Amanpour, Sex and Love Around the World, premieres Saturday at 10.
Today, innovation in the Finger Lakes is helping build the new New York. Once home to the world's image center, New York State is now a leader in optics, photonics, and imaging, fueled by strong university partnerships, providing the world's best talent, and supported with workforce development to create even more opportunities. All across New York State, we're building the new New York. To grow your business with us in New York State, visit esd.ny.gov.
Exhilarating, thrilling, electrifying. No, I'm not talking about my style of racing. I'm talking about the Honda Dream Garage Spring Event. Check out the Clarity Plug-in Hybrid. You can do your day-to-day driving using only electric. Going on a road trip, there's gas to back you up. It's got a 340-mile combined range rating. And, best of all, it is way easier to use than my company car.
The Honda Dream Garage Spring Event is on now. You can get a great deal on the Clarity Plug-in Hybrid, a KBB.com Best Buy for 2018.
Anna, do you have those plans?
Yes. I just wanted to show you something I've been working 9 to 5. James R. & Associates, Anna speaking. James R. & Associates, Anna. Baker Architects, this is Anna Baker.
This is what our version of financial planning looks like. Tomorrow is important, but you're ready to bet on yourself today. Spend your life living. Find an advisor at northwesternmutual.com.
That's all it takes? Guess I'll bring a can of this stuff everywhere. Yeah, then I'll become the world's best dad.
Made with real cream. Reddi-wip, instant gratification.
When heartburn hits, fight back fast with Tums Chewy Bites. Fast relief in every bite. Crunchy outside, chewy inside. Tums Chewy Bites.
Will you still love me when I'm no longer young and beautiful? Will you still love me when I'm
American Dynasties, The Kennedys, Sundays at 9 on CNN.
Introducing Pulse. Broken phone? We fixed that. It couldn't be easier. We'll be there in a heartbeat 7 days a week. Check us out at Pulse.com. Pulse, for the ups and downs of digital life. Introducing Pulse. New TV to install? We do that. It couldn't be easier. We'll be there in a heartbeat 7 days a week. Check us out at Pulse.com. Pulse, for the ups and downs of digital life.
Hi, I'm Joan London. Today's senior living communities have never been better, with amazing amenities like movie theaters, exercise rooms and swimming pools, public cafes, bars and bistros, even pet care services. And there's never been an easier way to get great advice. A Place for Mom is a free service that pairs you with a local advisor to help you sort through your options and find the perfect place. A Place for Mom. You know your family, we know senior living. Together we'll make the right choice.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Breaking news, the White House standing by the UK's decision to expel 23 Russian diplomats over the poisoning of former Russian spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia in a small English town. The White House also agreeing that Russia is to blame, calling it an abhorrent attack. Russia now is threatening the UK, saying a response is coming. It all comes after another suspicious death of a Russian in the UK this week. This, a businessman the UK was refusing to extradite. Out front now, Democratic Congresswoman from California, Jackie Speier, who sits on the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Look, this is escalating tonight. UK expelling diplomats. Russia's threatening to respond. Their ambassador to the UN says, oh, don't worry, we destroyed all our chemical weapons. There's nothing to see here. Congresswoman, is there any question in your mind as to whether Russia is responsible for the poisoning?
There is no question in my mind, Aaron. And this is yet another example of how Russia doesn't play by the rules. And now it appears UK is going to investigate 14 other deaths that have taken place in the UK that were under suspicious circumstances. This is the KGB Russia that we have come to know, and since Vladimir Putin was in the KGB, this is, I think, got his fingerprints all over it.
I mean, here's what President Trump has said about Russia and its role in the poison attack. I wanted to play it for you. Here he is.
It sounds to me like it would be Russia, based on all of the evidence they have. If we agree with them, we will condemn Russia or whoever it may be.
Is that a good response, a strong response from President Trump?
It's hardly a response. And what's very interesting about every provocative action taken by Russia since President Trump has been in office, he has never once said anything publicly about President Putin. If you notice in that little clip that you played, it was, you know, well, maybe it's Trump, maybe it's Putin. But he didn't come right out and say, I am condemning President Putin. We will not tolerate this. We stand by our friends and allies in the UK. I mean, it's always measured. And it's very interesting that he has never officially made any statement against what have been acts of provocation by Putin for the last year.
I mean, the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, was asked directly. Actually, it was a very unusual moment. The BBC was there. He was at some agricultural event, and they sort of doorstopped him. They asked him directly whether he was behind the poisoning. And I just wanted to play for you his dismissive response so our viewers can also see his face.
Is Russia behind the poisoning of Sergei Skripal?
Слушайте, я занимаюсь сельским хозяйством, говорите о каких-то трагедиях. Сначала разберитесь там, а потом мы с вами будем обсуждать.
And what he said, I'm sorry, Congressman, because you couldn't hear him, he was sort of laughing. He said, look, we're busy here with agriculture, and you want to ask about some tragedies. Get to the bottom of things there first, then we'll talk about this. And this comes as a former KGB agent tells the Mirror in the UK the Russians have a list of people Russia may kill. Christopher Steele, he said, is on it, the former spy behind the Trump dossier, and Bill Browder, a former American citizen. Is Putin directly calling the hits here?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt that he is making the calls. He was making the calls, in my estimation, on the engagement by Russia during the presidential election and campaign. And I would certainly believe that something this significant that could easily escalate as this has would have come from the top.
So Nikki Haley, the U.S. ambassador to the UN today, talked about this. She condemned Russia. She said her concern is that if something isn't done immediately, chemical weapons like this could be used in New York or elsewhere in the United States. Is she right that Russia could do this here?
Well, I have no intelligence to suggest that, but I would certainly think that if they're willing to do it in the UK, they are going to be willing to do it in the United States if we do not set them back dramatically. And I don't think we have taken the sanctions that the Congress overwhelmingly voted for and that the president signed. We haven't taken one action, and by we I mean the president and the administration, not one action that they should have taken after we passed those sanctions. So again, very kind of limp-wristed in his efforts in dealing with Vladimir Putin.
And before you go, Congresswoman, I have to ask you about the House Intelligence Committee into Russian meddling and the Trump campaign. Obviously, ending in debacle, and the Republican heading up the Russia investigation on your committee says there's going to be a vote on March 22nd on the final version of his report of what happened. He says he's hopeful that Democrats are going to sign on to parts of it. Will you?
I would find it very hard to sign on to any of it. And I would suggest that when you say his report, you're really talking about Trump's report, because this is a script from the president that has basically been an amplification of the tweets that he has been tweeting out for the last year. And, you know, as he said yesterday, oh, the decision's been made. Oh, this is great. It's over. There's no collusion. There has been plenty of collusion. The question is, has it risen to the level of criminality?
All right. Thank you very much, Congresswoman Spear. I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
And next, Democrat Conor Lamb, poised to win that special election in Pennsylvania. Are Republicans right to call this a one-off and defying Trump? The risks that some are taking to help people in this country illegally stay in the U.S.
I think there's a strong feeling in the Jewish community we cannot let this happen. It's our responsibility. What was done to us cannot happen to other people.
AT&T gives you more for your thing, your me time thing. That Sunday night date night with HBO all night thing.
But it's my thing. No, it's not fair. Mom!
That island without men or children would be nice to visit thing. Buy an AT&T unlimited plan and get HBO included. More for your thing. That's our thing.
Great. Another dead end.
Sarge, I just got a tip that'll crack this case wide open. Turns out the prince at the crime scene...
Did McGruffy Wuffy get a tippy whippy?
I'm serious. We gotta move fast before...
Who's a good boy? Is him a good boy?
I'm just gonna go.
Oh, you wanna go outside? You gotta go tinky poo-poo.
I already went, okay? In the bathroom.
As long as people talk baby talk to dogs, you can count on Geico saving folks money. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
At Joseph A. Bank's final winter clearance sale, save up to 85% when you take an extra 60% off all clearance. Find suits as low as $89, and dress shirts, sweaters, and pants just $19.99. The final winter clearance sale, only at Joseph A. Bank.
Last night took an L, but you're not a bounce back.
What's an L?
The rap singer took a loss, and now he's okay again.
Right.
Yeah, you can get a mortgage that avoids PMI, but there's no way to avoid MIP.
Hey! This'll help. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans makes the complex simple.
So, origination fees and...
This takes care of it, thank you. Understand the details and get approved in as few as 8 minutes by America's largest mortgage lender. Comes back. Right.
I woke up in beast mode with my girl that's...
With Advil Liquid Gels, you'll ask, what bad shoulder? What headache? Advil is relief that's fast, strength that lasts. You'll ask,
what pain?
With Advil Liquid Gels.
Every bottle of Palm Wonderful is packed with the antioxidants in pure pomegranate juice. Relentlessly ravenous, free radical, annihilating antioxidants. Palm Wonderful, crazy healthy.
A CNN original series from one apostle to 1.2 billion followers. Witness the evolution of a global icon.
Life is complicated, but life insurance doesn't have to be. Welcome to Haven Life. We're changing the way you buy quality term life insurance so that it's actually simple. With us, you can get affordable coverage online from wherever, whenever you want. If approved, choose your coverage amount and term length. Just like that, peace of mind. Backed by MassMutual, a leading insurer. Easy, dependable, affordable. That's Haven Life. Get your real rate today.
Money is like life. You have to decide how to get the most from it. And just like life, every decision affects every other decision. The trick is making good decisions today, so you're ready for tomorrow when it comes. So we made you some simple free tools that let you see how what you do today will affect your tomorrow. So you can make smart choices about how to spend your money and your life. Personal Capital. Get to know your money.
American Dynasties, The Kennedys, Sundays at 9 on CNN.
Tonight, the White House trying to downplay what appears to be a stunning defeat for Republicans in Pennsylvania. Democrat Conor Lamb holds a roughly 600-vote lead with only the last remaining ballots to be counted. The White House Deputy Press Secretary Raj Shah claiming tonight when he was aboard Air Force One, so I quote him, the Democrat in the race really embraced the president's policies and position. So I guess it was a win. Out front now, former Republican candidate for New York Governor and friend of Donald Trump's Rob Astorino with me here in New York, and former campaign manager for Hillary Clinton, Robbie Mook, joining us from Washington. Okay, Robbie, let's start with you. The Democrat in the race really embraced the president's policies and position. So I guess to Raj Shah and this White House, this is a win for Donald Trump.
Well, it's I guess I can give an award for spin on this one, but this, like many things from the White House, is just a bald-faced lie. Conor Lamb campaigned in favor of the Affordable Care Act, which the president tried to end. He campaigned against the president's tax cuts, which were arguably the main accomplishment, really the only accomplishment the Republicans have had this year. He campaigned for people's right to form a union and organize. He campaigned for a woman's right to choose. I mean, the list goes on and on. This was not a conservative Republican. There was a conservative Republican on the ticket. He lost in a district that the president won by 20 points. So this is what it is. It's a bad loss for the Republicans in a district that never should have been marginal in the first place, and it's a sign of the wave election that seems to be coming.
So, Rob, the Republicans don't want to admit it. So the White House spin is this guy is pro-Trump. A Republican Congressman, Chris Collins, today said, quote, "This was a one-off. We've won 5. They've won 1. I'm feeling pretty good."
I know Chris Collins.
Are you feeling pretty good?
I know Chris Collins very, very well. I think that there's a little truth to this, in that I think it was a little bit of an anomaly. You've got, I almost saw it as a Republican primary. I mean, Lamb is a dynasty in the Pittsburgh area. His whole family has been there for a long time. They've been in politics. He did not bash Trump. He stayed to local issues. He ran away from Pelosi. He didn't talk about transgender issues and things like that.
No,
he was
but
talking
on
about
things
the
like
economy.
Abortion, healthcare,
But he's
these
pro-life.
are core Trump issues.
He's pro-life. He's for the Second Amendment and did not want restrictions.
After
so,
20 weeks, right?
Yeah, so it's a totally different kind of race. But a loss is a loss. Now, they did win 5 House elections before that, so they are 5-1. The Alabama race, come on, that was, you got Roy Moore there. I mean, nobody should have voted for Roy Moore in that
but how
kind of
many
race.
hockey sticks are you guys going to say you have?
No, but I do think...
there's always, this was a one-off. I mean, after a certain point...
I agree with Robbie. I do think that this is a potential wave year for the Democrats. The Democrats are highly motivated to come out, and Republicans are kind of staying home.
Right. I mean, Robbie, what do you think was the bigger thing here? That the Democrats turned out? I mean, because, in the areas that Trump won, he still won. Maybe not by as much, but he still won, right? Was this more of a turnout issue in the suburbs, where all of a sudden the Democrats who didn't bother to go out for Hillary Clinton, they did yesterday?
It's really both. You had 2 things at play here. The first is that you did have Democrats turning out. I think the sign of that was in those absentee ballots. So typically older voters in Western Pennsylvania, the kind of people that are allowed to vote absentee, essentially, the laws there are very strict, those would typically favor a Republican in a general election setting. They actually helped Lamb. That says to me those are Democrats excited about turning out, going that extra mile to vote absentee. But look, in a district like this that voted for the president by 20 points, you had people switching over to the other party. So it was really both.
Right. As you, I think, acknowledged, you admitted it was not good. Okay.
No, it wasn't good.
All right. The Pennsylvania race obviously was a win for you, Robbie, for Democrats. The party, though, is obviously still rebuilding after Hillary Clinton's loss. And so, of course, cue Hillary Clinton. She is talking right now. She was in India, pitching her book. And she made some pretty shocking claims about the divide between blue and red in this country. Let me just play a clip for you, Robbie.
I won the places that represent 2/3 of America's gross domestic product. So I won the places that are optimistic, diverse, dynamic, moving forward. And his whole campaign, Make America Great Again, was looking backwards. You didn't like black people getting rights. You don't like women, getting jobs.
Robbie, it's not just Republicans. There are plenty of Democrats who find this pretty hard to swallow.
Look, here's the thing. I worked for Hillary Clinton on 2 of her campaigns. She has been a mentor and someone who I've admired tremendously and did make history in our country by being the first woman to be nominated by a major party. The 2016's over. And Donald Trump loves to pull, every time something's going wrong and the White House is a mess right now, he loves to just reach out, pull back Hillary Clinton and push back. And as a party, we got to focus on the future. We got to focus on the candidates that are running. I love Hillary. I'm just going to let those comments stand by the side. This is not what this election's about. It's about the candidates running right now.
So you're basically saying we shouldn't be talking about the past and Hillary at this point, but you're not happy with it, right? I mean, be honest.
Look, I have made my own interpretations of what happened in the election. The fact is we did lose the upper Midwest. We have got to win those electoral votes if we're going to win the presidency. And the way we do that is by moving forward as a party and focusing on the candidates and now. And I just believe this. We can't keep relitigating our last candidate. We got to move forward. And I have all the respect in the world for her, but I'm going to let her do her comments, and the rest of us are going to focus on the future.
All right. I mean, look, she's the one out there saying this. What do you say, Rob?
Oh, come on. Robbie,
I want
please,
the places that are optimistic, diverse, dynamic, moving forward.
You can't be quiet on that one, because if Lamb had run that kind of race, said those things, he would have lost by 25 points, which is why Hillary Clinton lost those areas. It was despicable what she said. She's basically saying if you voted for Trump, anyone who voted for Trump is a knuckle-dragging Neanderthal. I mean, think about that. My wife took offense to this.
And doesn't like black people.
And doesn't like black people.
And doesn't
racist,
like women.
And that's all that she was saying in the campaign, which is a big reason why she lost those kind of areas.
Right.
And the Democratic Party, unless they start moving away from that, they're going to lose races that they could win. But they won a race that they shouldn't have won because they didn't pull that junk.
All right. Thank you both very much.
Thanks.
And next, desperate undocumented immigrants going underground to try to avoid deportation and terminated via Twitter. Jeannie Mose is ahead.
Sometimes bipolar I disorder can make you feel unstoppable. But mania, such as unusual changes in your mood, activity, or energy levels, can leave you on shaky ground. Help take control by asking about your treatment options. Vraylar is approved for the acute treatment of manic or mixed episodes of bipolar I disorder in adults. Clinical studies showed that Vraylar reduced overall manic symptoms. Vraylar should not be used in elderly patients with dementia due to increased risk of death or stroke. Call your doctor about fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, which may mean a life-threatening reaction, or uncontrollable muscle movements, which may be permanent. Side effects may not appear for several weeks. High cholesterol and weight gain, high blood sugar, which can lead to coma or death, decreased white blood cells, which can be fatal, dizziness upon standing, falls, seizures, impaired judgment, heat sensitivity, and trouble swallowing may occur. You're more than just your bipolar I. Ask your doctor about Vraylar.
Everybody says the Arby's logo looks like a fish leaping out of water. Ridiculous. Arby's, we have the meats. Will you look at that? It kinda does. Okay, you win. Arby's Nashville hot and crispy fish sandwiches. Just 2 for $5. Arby's, we have the meats.
I conned this family, but now they mean everything to me. You know that gun you keep at the office? Carry it.
There are too many secrets in this family.
We're good people. We just made a mistake.
Over a year ago, I was diagnosed with advanced non-small cell lung cancer.
A true story with Keytruda.
My world came crashing down.
Come on, kids.
But I was not ready to give up.
After testing for high levels of PD-L1, I started on Keytruda.
In a clinical study, Keytruda offered patients a longer life than chemotherapy, and it's an immunotherapy that can be your first treatment. Keytruda is for adults with non-small cell lung cancer that has spread, who test positive for PD-L1, and whose tumors do not have an abnormal EGFR or ALK gene. Keytruda can cause your immune system to attack normal organs and tissues in your body and affect how they work, and may be serious and lead to death. See your doctor right away if you experience new or worsening cough, chest pain, shortness of breath, diarrhea, severe stomach pain or tenderness, nausea or vomiting, rapid heartbeat, increased hunger or thirst, constipation, dizziness or fainting, changes in urine, changes in eyesight, muscle pain or weakness, joint pain, rash, itching or flushing, as this may keep these problems from becoming more serious. These are not all the possible side effects of Keytruda. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions, including immune system problems, or if you've had an organ transplant, or lung, breathing, or liver problems.
I used to take the small things for granted. I don't anymore.
Living longer is possible. It's true. Keytruda from Merck. Ask your doctor about Keytruda, with more FDA-approved uses for advanced lung cancer than any other immunotherapy.
Build and run apps anywhere you'd like, while keeping your competitors at bay. The IBM Cloud, the cloud for smarter business.
For all the noses that stuff up around pets, there's Flonase Sensimist. It relieves all your worst symptoms, including nasal congestion, which most pills don't, and all from a gentle mist you can barely feel. Flonase Sensimist.
tonight, some people in California are ready to wage war with President Trump. They're trying and willing to break the law to keep immigrants who are here in this country illegally hidden. Kyung La has an Out Front exclusive.
We can't show you where we are or who lives behind this door because the family in this apartment in California is on the run from immigration and customs enforcement.
Since my mom's status here isn't safe, then we had to just pack everything up. Everything else just was left behind.
Off the grid since last year, say these two girls, both citizens born in the U.S., both in high school. ICE deported their father for illegally crossing the border. Their mother overstayed a tourist visa and is also undocumented. The girls feared their mother was next.
What's happened since then, when you had to pack up and leave?
We became homeless for 5 months. We moved schools, we went somewhere else because we had to leave the city. We were sleeping from house to house, anywhere we could find.
Then they heard about an interfaith network of religious groups pledging to resist Trump's immigration policy by hiding them in safe houses, even in spare rooms of congregants' homes. The network estimates dozens are being hidden at any one time. It connected the family to this Jewish woman.
I grew up in a time when the Holocaust was not so far behind me.
She signed for the apartment, a cover for the family she's protecting.
Do you hear the echoes of history here? 100%. I think there's a strong feeling in the Jewish community we cannot let this happen. It's our responsibility. What was done to us cannot happen to other people.
This is technically aiding and abetting somebody who is here undocumented.
I don't see it that way. I see it as taking a step to help someone who is in need, to help a family in need of support.
Me sentí muy tranquila. It's just a big sigh of relief, says the girl's mother. What happens to me doesn't matter. Everything I'm doing here is for my girls.
How would you describe the fear that you carry?
I put a smile on my face every day. But deep down, I'm hurt. And I'm still hurting.
I want to say a couple of things.
Reverend Zach Hoover leads the Interfaith Network. 2,000 congregations of various faiths have been trained across the country, the great majority here in California, where Reverend Hoover says the network of sanctuary and safe houses remains most active.
The federal government might listen to all of this and say, you're violating the law.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, that makes me very nervous. And there's a part of me that, sitting here talking to you, I think, gosh, should I be having this conversation? But the truth is our folks are facing a much greater fear every day. As we sit here in this church, I am just reminded the God that I worship and that guides my life is one who does not always bless every human law. I am convicted that we are doing exactly what we should be doing.
The girls have both been accepted to separate colleges in the fall, a family united for as long as they can be.
We're going to do everything in our power to try to convince members of Congress not to support a deportation machine that's ripping families apart. And there's a part of me that thinks that a different way is possible. But most of the time I'm preparing for this to get worse.
In a statement to CNN, ICE says, quote, knowingly harboring an alien is a federal crime. The statement continues, current ICE policy directs agency personnel to avoid conducting enforcement activities at sensitive locations. This includes places of worship. DOJ guidelines do say that harboring is punishable up to 5 years in prison. But Aaron, we're talking about a very nuanced situation here. We're talking about clergy, congregants, and homes that need a warrant in order to enter.
All right, Aaron, thank you very much. And out front next, Jeannie Moos and the art of the pink slip.
I don't have my wallet, so.
Perfect. You can send a digital payment.
I don't have one of those payment apps.
Perfect. You have a US-based bank account, right?
I have Wells Fargo.
Perfect. Then you should have Zelle.
Perfect.
Perfect.
The #1 mobile banking app just got better.
Does your coach use Zelle too?
Of course.
Another way we're building better every day.
We the people are defined by the things we share and the ones we love. Who never stop wondering what we'll do or where we'll go next. We the people who are better together than we are alone. Are unstoppable. Welcome to the entirely new expedition.
Being punctual means you're thoughtful about others, and that is important in business. It shows that you really care about your clients' needs. I need an airline that helps me do my job. And the folks at Japan Airlines, they take so much pride in being punctual. Their flight network between America and Asia is totally easy and totally seamless. I've spent most of my life thinking about how to make things look better, work better, feel better. Most importantly, I want my work to be life-enhancing.
A CNN original series.
I don't think there's any other religious figure that people recognize as much as they recognize the Pope.
He transcends the Catholic Church. From one apostle, people look to him because he's a voice of conscience, to 1.2 billion followers. Witness the evolution of a global icon.
Graduation day, a new start. Now you can begin repaying your student loans. Refinance at Credible.com, where people have saved on average $18,000 over the life of their loans. In 2 minutes, you can be pre-qualified for real rates, not ranges, from trusted lenders.
Knock 7 years off my payments.
Stop paying too much. 2 minutes is all it takes to see how much you could save on your student loans. Visit Credible.com before your next payment is due.
I'm here to prove that Purple Mattress blows memory foam out of the bedroom. Ready, Billy?
No, I just have to.
Perfect. Just look at how the Purple Smart Comfort Grid, made from a super comfy yet ultra supportive material called hyperelastic polymer, cradled those unfertilized chickies.
Purple's unique design cradles your pressure points and redistributes support to the rest of your body for maximum comfort and support.
Go to purplemattress.com and get the best rest of your life.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Here's Jeannie Mose.
Rex Tillerson has been added to the Jimmy Kimmel Show's collection.
Now he can pay tribute to all of Donald Trump's ex-cabinet members with the departed staffer commemorative place.
But the dishy part was how Tillerson was fired by tweet, a tweet that ended.
Congratulations to all. Congratulations, Rex. You've won an all-expense-paid trip to beautiful get the out of here.
Even when you get fired from Domino's, the manager takes you into that crappy little office and tells you to your face.
But hey, not face-to-face is President Trump's way. When he fired FBI Director Comey, he sent an aide with a letter to FBI headquarters. But Comey ended up hearing the news on TV as he gave a speech. After Tillerson was fired, Obama photographer Pete Souza posted this picture of President Obama conferring with his Secretary of State, captioned, "Back in the day when our Secretary of State was treated with respect."
Donald Trump spent more time firing Little John than he did firing the Secretary of State.
Little John, you're fired. You go out there and knock him dead. He is a great guy.
Rex is a very good man.
The White House Chief of Staff did call Tillerson to warn his time as top diplomat was up, but there was nothing definitive till the tweet was posted. Some are even comparing the firing to Sex and the City. Why, you ask, is Rex Tillerson like Carrie Bradshaw?
Oh, Berger broke up with me on a Post-it.
On a Post-it?
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, I can't. Don't hate me. The mother concise.
More concise than President Trump with his 253-character tweet. Andy Borowitz's satirical headline, imagine Tillerson saying, "I hope Trump finds out he's impeached" on Twitter. Who says breaking up is hard to do when you break the news like this?
He fired him on Twitter.
Jeannie Mose, CNN.
Yeah, it makes sense when you consider that Trump hired Tillerson on Tinder.
New York.
Hats off to you, Conan. AC360 starts now.
Good evening. A great deal to cover tonight. That congressional race in Pennsylvania and the nationwide wave of kids leaving school to protest gun violence today. We begin, though, with breaking news on the Stormy Daniels front. For the past couple of weeks, we've been focusing not so much on the alleged affair, but more on who knew what, when, and the payout of the hush money following the money, as it were. And tonight, new documents obtained exclusively by this broadcast suggest a deeper link between the Trump Organization and efforts to ensure that Stephanie Clifford, a.k.a. Stormy Daniels, Stephanie Clifford is her real name, keeps quiet about it. Her alleged affair with Donald Trump, and for the first time, evidence that another one of Trump's attorneys, besides his personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, is involved in the ongoing legal battle. Now, this is one of the documents. Take a look. It's a demand for arbitration filed in California by an attorney who works for a Donald Trump company. She lists her address as 1 Trump National Drive, Rancho Palos Verdes, California. It's signed by an attorney named Jill A. Martin. Now, that address also happens to be the address of the Trump National Golf Course not far from Los Angeles. There's not much room for doubt that Ms. Martin has been an employee for Donald Trump. This is her LinkedIn page, which identifies her as a vice president and assistant general counsel for the Trump Organization. And here's her California State Bar page, also listing her address as the Trump National Golf Club. Now, as far as the arbitration goes, in a declaration labeled highly confidential, it names Peggy Peterson, a pseudonym for Stormy Daniels, as the respondent. It lists EC LLC as the party seeking relief. And those initials stand for Essential Consultants, the company created by Trump lawyer Michael Cohen to funnel cash payment of $130,000 to Ms. Daniels in return for her promise to keep quiet about the reported affair, which Ms. Daniels claims began in 2006 and lasted through 2007. Now, as more and more comes out about the story, Mr. Cohen has continued to deny the affair ever happened, but has acknowledged the payment, saying just last month, quote, "In a private transaction in 2016, I used my own personal funds to facilitate a payment of $130,000 to Ms. Stephanie Clifford. Neither the Trump Organization nor the Trump campaign was party to the transaction, and neither reimbursed me for the payment either directly or indirectly. The Trump Organization may not have been a party to that transaction, but it's pretty clear one of its attorneys is involved in this case, and it's certainly not the first time she's defended Donald Trump. In fact, here she is in October 2016, just after that Access Hollywood tape surfaced, appearing on CNN's Aaron Burnett Out Front.
None of us would ever imagine he would do something like this. It's just completely inconsistent with his character and our own personal experiences. So because of that, I believe him when he says he didn't do anything inappropriate with women.
So back to the arbitration case, Ms. Martin did win a temporary restraining order because the non-disclosure agreement Stormy Daniels signed said an action could be brought against her, quote, without any advance notice. Now, that's an assertion that Ms. Daniels' current attorney, Michael Avenatti, strongly disputes. We're going to talk to him in a moment. We've just received a statement from Ms. Martin. Here's the statement she gave us on behalf of the Trump Organization. Quote, as previously reported, Lawrence Rosen, a New York attorney, is representing EC LLC in the arbitration. The Trump Organization is not representing anyone, and with the exception of one of its California-based attorneys in her individual capacity, facilitating the initial filing pending the pro-hack admission of Mr. Rosen, the company has had no involvement in the matter. Now, we also should note that we've reached out to Michael Cohen, have not yet heard back from him. Michael Avenatti joins us now. So explain this, because Michael Cohen all along has said the Trump Organization was not a party to this, had nothing to do with this. You've in the past shown documents that show that Michael Cohen has responded or has gotten emails from his bank to his Trump Organization email address and then forwarded that to his private email address to then communicate with Stormy Daniels' former attorney. Now, this is a new Trump employee, Jill Martin, new to this saga, who was involved in this arbitration. What's the significance for you?
Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive, Anderson. This saga continues. For months, we have heard from Mr. Cohen and from others associated with the Trump Organization that there was no linkage between EC LLC and the Trump Organization. Mr. Cohen has maintained that he formed that LLC on his own, unbeknownst to Mr. Trump, unbeknownst to the Trump Organization, that he drafted the documents.
And that he did it just out of loyalty to his friend Donald Trump.
Correct. He expects the American people to believe that he spent all this time and energy, hours upon hours, doing all of this work, and the president never knew anything about it, and no one in the Trump Organization ever knew anything about it. We've already produced, and you've shown some of the documents on the show, the Trump Organization emails. We now have these documents. The statement that was provided by Ms. Martin is demonstrably false. If you look at the first document that you showed your viewers in the upper left-hand corner, it designates Ms. Martin as a representative, a legal representative of EC LLC. It's right there in the upper left-hand corner.
And
now,
she is a full-time employee of the Trump organization.
She is a full-time employee, as evidenced by the State Bar page, as evidenced by the LinkedIn page. She has no other job. She's a vice president and a general counsel of the Trump organization. And so there can be no question that the Trump organization was representing EC LLC in connection with this arbitration, and we need to remember the focus of the arbitration. The focus of this filing in February was to gag my client, put a muzzle on her, and prevent her from speaking. And that's why they filed the arbitration, to obtain what's called a temporary restraining order. So this idea that there is a separation between EC LLC and Donald Trump and the Trump organization is a complete and utter fiction.
So, I mean, I do not understand why Michael Cohen, if he was acting in his own capacity as a private individual, not as a member of the Trump organization, didn't tell anybody in the Trump organization, why he would reach out to the general counsel of the Trump organization to get involved in this arbitration. Well, I mean, there's plenty of lawyers in LA he could have reached out to.
Well, no, it's probably because there's only 2 lawyers in Los Angeles, myself and Ms. Martin. It's a big city, but we only have 2 lawyers. Of course, I'm being facetious. Right. I mean, we have more lawyers than you can imagine. In fact, some might describe it as a nightmare we have so many lawyers in the city. But it is bizarre to us that, in fact, they would reach out to Ms. Martin if, in fact, the Trump organization had nothing to do with it. It makes no sense. The American people, Anderson, we are crossing the Rubicon now to a place where the American people are seeing documents, they are being presented with facts, they're being presented with evidence. People are smart, they're not stupid. They can judge for themselves when people are being honest with them and when people are trying to pull one over on them.
I want to bring in our chief legal analyst, Jeffrey Toobin. Jeff, I mean, does Michael's explanation make sense to you? I mean, why would Michael Cohen, again, if this is a private matter that he wants nothing, no involvement from the Trump organization, and it's his, money from the home equity line of credit, as he claims, would he go to the general counsel, Jill Martin?
Well, I mean, part of this undoubtedly is that Michael Cohen, like his patron Donald Trump, is incredibly cheap, and he didn't want to go retain a lawyer.
You really think that's?
I think that's part of it. But the other part of it is this is a Trump enterprise to keep Stormy Daniels quiet.
No doubt in your mind.
I mean, it has to be. I mean, look, the other thing that's worth noting here, I don't know if we've focused on it, there's a lot of, facts and figures coming up. The signature that Jill Martin of this document is February 22nd, 2018. It's a month ago, not even. I mean, this is a Trump enterprise ongoing to try to keep Stormy Daniels from telling her story. February of 2018, she's signing this document. Michael Cohen is involved in this day to day. His lawyers are involved day to day. This is a Trump project to keep Stormy Daniels quiet. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I never spoke to Stormy Daniels. You all have. I don't know the underlying truth here of what went on between Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels, if anything. But what's quite clear is that not just Michael Cohen, but the Trump organization is trying to keep her quiet.
And let me add this, Anderson. I think Jeff raises a very good point relating to the date of this document, February 22nd, 2018. The statement that you placed before your viewers earlier from Mr. Cohen predated this statement, not postdated it.
So he had already gone on record saying that this was not a Trump organization operation.
Exactly. Weeks prior, when he went on record, it was weeks prior to February 22nd, 2018. And weeks later, Jill Martin, a vice president and general counsel of the organization, signs this document.
Let me put up that Michael Cohen statement again, just for our viewers. Okay, so this is Michael Cohen before.
It has the date.
Yeah, February. What is that? 14th, 13th. In a private transaction in 2016, I used my own personal funds to facilitate a payment of $130,000 to Ms. Stephanie Clifford. Neither the Trump organization, and then it continues, nor the Trump campaign was a party to the transaction with Ms. Clifford, and neither reimbursed me for the payment either directly or indirectly. So the whole notion that the Trump organization was not a party to, whether it's to that or to this ongoing operation, certainly to the ongoing operation, you can't say the Trump organization is not a party.
Not involved. Now, what I assume Jill Martin would say is, I wasn't really involved in the litigation. She uses the phrase pro hoc, which refers to the act of allowing an out-of-town lawyer to appear in your state. That she will say, and that's implied in her statement, is that, well, I wasn't really involved in the litigation. I was just helping Mr. Rosen, the real lawyer, appear here because he's not a California lawyer. But that goes to the question of, out of all the lawyers in California to help you get your point across, why do you pick someone in the Trump Organization unless this is a Trump Organization initiative?
I suppose Mr. Cohen could also say, and again, we reach out to him, have not heard back, that because he wanted this to remain confidential, that's why he reached out to somebody in the Trump Organization. Would that make sense?
Well, no, it wouldn't, because there's something called the attorney-client privilege, which mandates that attorneys that are licensed, that are serving clients, maintain the confidences of those clients. So the idea that somehow this was the only attorney in the entire state of California that would maintain this confidence, I think is nonsense.
So then it would be the last person you would involve is someone from the Trump Organization if you were trying to wall this off from the Trump Organization. You would never go to a Trump Organization person. You would go to anyone but.
But I mean, Michael Cohen,